Good morning, everybody, and happy holidays to you. I am Steve Farrell. I'm a co-founder of Humanities Team coming to you live from Boulder, Colorado. And I've got the other co-founder of Humanities Team right here with me this morning, Neale Donald Walsch, the author of Conversations with God and so many other good books. And thank you for being with us, Neale.
Thank you for having me along with you. It's lovely to be here.
Oh boy, very exciting to jump into this program. I've got so many things I want to get to because we shared our theme as kind of where we've come from and where we're going. So that's pretty expansive theme because wow, we've been on this journey for 20 years, over 20 years, and still got a ways to go. So many exciting things to talk about. A big shout out to the people, Conversations with God Foundation, Neale Donald Walsch's friends all over the world. The Humanities Stream Plus folks that are here in the green room with us, and I'll wave at you. Some of you are on camera, and thank you for being with us here live. Humanities Team friends that are out on social media, on our Facebook pages, the YouTube page, the Sign Network, Sign.network, and John Raymer that's broadcasting out across all of his progressive sites. So, hey, thank you all for joining us. Appreciate you being here. It is one gorgeous day in Boulder, Colorado. Wow, one of these perfectly blue skies, warmer temperatures. The ice has kind of melted off. I was telling Stephanie this morning, man, I could love winter here. You know, if we had more days like this, just gorgeous. I hope it's like that in your part of the world. And so this is a live program. We do have partners and colleagues in Humanities Team that are out across these sites that I mentioned. We're going to be bringing in questions. So if you have questions for Neale and me in the first half hour, throw those questions at us, and we'll try and get to as many as we can here during the hour. All right, so, again, our theme here this morning is kind of where we've come from and where we're going. And this is a really special theme for me because Neale and I met back in over 20 years ago, in the 90s, actually, at the end of the 1990s, and then launched Humanities Team in 2003. It was planned in Neale's living room there in the spring of 2003. And wow, we come a long way, but we've, as we know, got a good ways to go. So we're going to reminisce a little bit about that and bring in some really important themes here during this too, which we'll get to. But Neale, I'm going to come over to you as you look back to that Wilsonville, Oregon, standing on stage there. These friends.
Well, I can go back way before then. Actually, the whole idea of Humanities Team came to me in a dream. There was no such thing, of course, but I awoke from a very real dream one morning in the early 2000s, and the dream was in my dream I saw the population of the Earth. And all of the conflict going on even then, and now, of course, it continues. We just can't seem to eliminate conflict from our experience. We'll get to that in a minute. But in any event, in the dream, I'm seeing, humanity in wearing different colored jerseys on a football field, on a playing field, soccer field. Somewhere in yellow jerseys, somewhere in blue jerseys, somewhere in red jerseys. And I was watching, and they were all fighting with each other. They were not just competing, but they were really fighting with each other. And in this dream, it's a very real dream, one of those, dreams where you're aware that you're dreaming, that kind of a dream. They call it a lucid dream. Anyway, I'm in this dream and I'm thinking to myself, but who will be on Humanities Team? Why can't there just be one team with everybody wearing the same color jerseys? Why can't there be a Humanities Team? Why does there have to be this team and that team and this team and that group and this group and that group? So I woke up in a start. I just sat up in bed and I went, my God, that's it. I got to create Humanities Team. I ran down to my computer on the lower level of my house, and I checked it out to see if anyone had taken the name humanitiesteam.com. No one had. I thought, now that's a sign, because every halfway decent domain name had been taken already. So I went ahead and I purchased humanitiesteam.com and .org and .whatever, .info, all of the permutations, all of the variations, so that no one could steal the name. Then I put a call out on the internet to see if anybody would be interested in joining me in creating such an organization and meeting with me in my home, as Steve remembered. And sure enough, a handful of people, I'm not talking 20 or 30, but maybe 6 or 7 people showed up at my house. We spent a weekend in my home in Ashland. Steve, thank goodness, was one of them. And there were 4 or 5 others of us just sitting around talking all weekend about how we could create, or what would happen, what would need to happen for us to create an organization called Humanity's Team. And Steve just lit up the room. He just said, I'm in. And and he threw his chips on the table. You know how you do when you're playing poker, all in. Steve was all in, and that's just what I needed. Nobody else had that. There was a lot of interest in the room, but nobody had that level of commitment. But Steve and I met each other in terms of our level of commitment, and we decided to create a Humanities Team. So I announced a major event in Portland, Oregon, and we had about 6 or 7 people there, or maybe 600 or 700, I forgot, but it was a large number of people who showed up. And then I gave a little talk and introduced Steve, and Humanities Team was formed right then and there. And Steve, talk about commitment, just dropped everything that he was doing in his life. I mean, in the years that followed, he just stepped away from most of the other activities, including his businesses, in his life, and became the worldwide executive director of Humanities Team. Thank goodness he did, because I have zero administrative ability, zero ability to do anything really, except just maybe write a paragraph or 2 here and there, but that's about my only talent in life. But Steve had all this administrative talent. He knew how to form companies, how to create groups, how to get people to work together. He has all these terrific talents. So I just said, okay, I'm out of it. You're in it. You're the big guy. I'm just a person over here in the corner. And so that's the story of Humanities Team and how it all began back in 2000 and something or another.
Well, let me say, that was a lot of wonderful memories back there, Neale. And let me go to this whole who's going to be on Humanities Team thing. I want to just indulge that for a moment, because isn't that interesting? Because today, isn't uniting humanity, isn't this the thing? Isn't this the thing? Where you've got people all over the world saying, what is it going to take to unite humanity so that we can create a world where we come out of global warming? And of course, it's more than global warming, where there's just overuse of energy, water, land, et cetera. They're all we're not stewarding the planet well, and there are wars and all these things.
And to say nothing of the mindset of people, certain people and nations that talk about, when we disagree, we're going to kill each other.
Right. Yeah. So, and isn't it just phenomenal? I mean, beautiful, really, that this work that we're doing is the work that unites humanity, because the work is this work that mystics have talked about down through the ages, about why we're really here, that we're all actually coming from one source, right? We made up all the countries and these different tribes and things.
Yeah, the secret was given to us, frankly, in Conversations with God, Book 1, in the first chapter, in the first portion of the first chapter of Book 1. The major message that God is sending to the world was given to us in the very first few sentences of Book 1. All things are one thing. There's only one thing. And all things are part of the one thing there is. And I questioned that. I said, what are you saying? What that would mean, that we're all part of you, and you're all part of us, of all of us. And God said that is exactly right. And there is only one body, one essence, looking differently, but really one essence. And then I was fighting to understand this, Steve. And God said, Neale, hold up your hand. So I held up my hand. And she said, now take a look at the fingers on your hand. Are they identical? No, they're not identical. They're different. Are they separate? Well, no, they're not actually separate. They're attached to my hand. And God said to me, okay, So you now understand that you are all fingers on the hands of God. There's no separation. No separation. You're all one body, but you are individualized. And that's been part of the challenge, Steve, because most people who want to agree that we are all one are afraid that if they agree and hold that as their reality, that they will lose their sense of individuality. And so they don't want to lose their sense of themselves as an individual expression. So I want to make it the point here, if I could today, without going on too long, but just to make the point that while we are all interconnected, we are all one, there's really no separation between us. That does not mean that we are not all individualized and all capable of our individual expression of the wonder of life that we call divinity. So that would be my message here today. And what would take, you asked a minute ago, what would it take for us to be members of Humanity's team? What would it take for us to all join together and begin to work toward a common goal? Simply an understanding of our interconnectedness. And we're seeing it. We see it all over the place, that when we are disconnected, we are destroying each other economically, militarily, in just about every way you could imagine. So that's the solution, is to find our way back to the unity of all of life. Sorry, I didn't mean to get into a sermon here, but that's my thought about it.
Yeah,
I could be wrong,
of course, it's, no, this is, and the world is coming together around this message. We'll talk about that. But first, let me just share, of course, we're coming out here this week from the end of the COP28 Dubai conference, right? So, which is all about climate change. And as we know, there's a lot of disappointment, as there have been coming out of these other COP conferences, where we're talking about, where we're in this level of consciousness. We haven't gone to an elevated level of consciousness, such as what Neale and I are talking about. We're in this separate level of consciousness, saying, no, you stop this, and you stop that, and you stop this, and of course, nothing is happening. we just aren't getting there, right? And this Einstein thing that was shared, there were so many things he shared way back when, but one of them that no problem can be solved at the level of consciousness that created it, which is bringing in then why Neale went on about this whole oneness and unity and diversity and unity thing, which is because when we go to that elevated consciousness that mystics described, and that now science everywhere is affirming, right? If we're paying attention. Science is affirming this everywhere. So you don't even have to take it from mystics anymore. Just go follow the science. And where we understand that is the elevated consciousness, where we have awareness that, oh my God, like you said, there are fingers on a hand. There's diversity and unity. And then, as we know too, Humanity's team, our calling, I'll call it, was to go down the path of education, because education is often the most powerful form of transformation, right? And so we work with the mediums, and we work with near-death experience community and the scientists and spiritual leaders, Neale and Michael Beckwith and others. And what we're finding here is, as they describe not only the physical life, but the non-physical life, mediums and near-death experience community, is in the non-physical realm. It is this perfect love and perfect light where Neale shares, this is what God is saying, yeah, that's what life is. And Neale says, well, that's too good to be true. And God says, well, if God can't tell you something too good to be true, who can, right? That this is what divinity is. It's your birthright. This is what you were born into. And so the beautiful thing is I think more and more people are awakening to this. And this, Neale, this is, boy, it was, for me anyway, maybe not for you, but back there in June 2003 and planning it, my family was young. My son actually took his first steps when we were in Wilsonville, Oregon. I missed that because I was in Wilsonville, Oregon with Neale.
You missed that because you were taking your first steps.
Yeah, right. And so it was challenging. And back then too, conscious living, awakening oneness and things we weren't as far along. But oh boy, thank God we seeded the soil with this wisdom, and that more and more people are understanding. And now it feels to me like one of the big issues is just living into that wisdom, where we're saying, okay, let me, fingers on a hand and divinity, and how do I live into that? Am I going to lose everything if I do? I think that as I'm doing programs more and more, that's kind of where people are coming from. Of, how can I do that? Maybe lean into that, stretch into that in a deeper way. Do you want to talk to that, Neale?
This is the secret here, Steve. You just hit upon the solution today. We need exemplars. We need imitators. We need people who are willing to be models of the understandings that have come to us in the Conversations with God material and from all the world's really wonderful spiritual sources, all the positive messages that we've received. So we need Jeannie and Jacqueline and Gail and Louise and everyone who's with us here to say, not only am I going to support Humanity's team, not only am I in, not only will I be there with my energetic support, but I intend to move through the world in such a way that people see that I am modeling the behavior that can change the world. Just watch what I think, watch what I say, watch what I do, watch my actions, listen to my words. And when we have that level of commitment that people are saying, not only am I going to support Humanity's team in its endeavors, I'm going to be part of that endeavor on a personal level. As soon as I walk out of this house, as soon as I step outside, I intend to be a model of the message. Wow, I never put it that way before. What a nice alliteration. I'm going to be a model of the message of Humanity's team. The message, of course, we are all one. The message of our unity, the message of our oneness, not our sameness, just as Steve said. There is diversity in unity, but the message of our oneness. And I'm going to be a model of the message as soon as not only when I step out the door, when I'm walking around my house. Each day when I wake up, I have committed to be a model of the message. That's what we're asking today. Are you willing to be a model of the message in everything you think, say, and do? Now we're talking about an energy that can hit the world at a level of critical mass and change the planet's understanding.
Yes, indeed. And as you and I go deeper into that conversation, often you'll bring around, as Conversations with God does as well, the Gandhi story of, well, what does that look like and how do we do that? And often you'll share that Gandhi story of, well, be the change that you wish to see in the world. What does that look like for you? What does that feel like for you? And I love that, because that really is that's the basis here. So for me, like I'll tell the story of back in Silicon Valley days where I had my time management system, which I was really good at. Where I had all my tasks laid out and all the people that I'd interface with and I'd meet, and we'd go through 9 tasks, and so it was a very transactional way of living. And I realized as I was feeling into this whole awakening thing that I was not living at all congruent with what these new understandings were. And so I threw out my time management system. I'm not saying, by the way, everybody needs to do that. This is just me because of what was going on there in my life. I had to get rid of it because transactional and this whole divinity, I mean, you're just missing. There's no connection there. And so I threw it out. And oh my God, so many good things happened. And then I've often told the story of not only in the workplace, but at home, where transactional goes away and even relational goes away. Because divinity, which is our basis, that's even a more delicious thing than relational.
What I'd like to do, at the risk of interrupting you, Steve, is explain to everyone what Steve means by transactional. I understand. We think that everyone understands that, but there are some people who don't understand. What is he saying? We think we have a transactional relationship with God. In other words, a tit-for-tat relationship, a quid pro quo relationship. You do this, I'll do that. You do this, I'll do that. And we call that love, by the way. That's what we call love. I will love you if you do this for me. You have to worship me. You have to honor me. You have to believe in me. And in some religions even tell us, and you have to come to me in a certain and specific way. And if you don't come to me in that certain and specific way, then I will have nothing to do with you. I don't really care how kind you are, how generous you are, how understanding you are, how sensitive and caring you are. I don't even care how forgiving you are. I don't care how good you are as a person. You came through the wrong doorway. So you didn't come to me in the right way. Therefore, I'm going to have to send you to a place of eternal damnation. This is what Steve is calling a transactional relationship. This is how nations transact business with each other, and how companies transact business with each other, and it's even how individuals transact their lives with each other. You know what? We don't even know how to love. Well, I shouldn't say we don't know, but many people do not know how to even love the person on the pillow next to you without stepping out of that transactional relationship, without saying, you know what? We don't need to have a transaction here. I love you whether you act with me the way I want you to or not. This is not a quid pro quo relationship. I don't love you if, I love you because of who you are and who I choose to be in relationship to who you are, and I need nothing back from you in return. Can we, folks, let that be our question for the day? Can we believe in a God? This is theologically revolutionary. Can we even imagine a God who says, I don't need anything from you. I don't demand anything from you. I don't expect anything from you. I require nothing from you, nothing at all. There's no such thing as the Ten Commandments. You made that all up. It's all made up. And you're not going to go to this place that you have called hell if you don't come to me through the right doorway. It's all manufactured so that you have created a transactional relationship with God. But God said to me, Steve, Neale, my relationship with you is not a transaction. It's an expression of who I am. And who I am is pure, unconditional love. There's no transaction involved. I need nothing back from you for what I choose to give to you, because it's in the giving of my love to you that my greatest joy is experienced. Can we love the person on the pillow next to us in the same way? It is in the love that I give to you that my greatest joy is experienced. I need nothing in return. If we can just send that message and live into that message and be a demonstration of that message, model the message in the world could change overnight. I could, of course, be wrong about all of this, but I don't think so.
Yeah, boy, let me underscore two things here. So one, this God of pure love, which is, Neale's recent books, right? Or this is what these books are about. It's what mystics have shared down through the ages, right? As we study Buddha and Christ, were they not this this just beautiful expression where there weren't any needs? It was just this giving away and healing and this highest expression, which we put lots of different labels on that, Christ, enlightenment, etc. So this is not pie in the sky at all. And increasingly, this is understood, I think, by people. I'm talk to more and more people where they really do get this, that this whole, we've got to come one way to God, that there's the awareness that this really was manufactured. This was made up. So then let me get to the more important thing, which is in what Neale was just sharing. Now, just notice, awareness, of course, is a big part of this path that we're on. It's even before education. For me, it started with awareness of what's going on with me, what's going on with the world around me. I needed to really feel into that before I knew what I wanted to get educated on. So, and notice then where you're doing this divinity thing, where it's not transactional, where you're just an expression of divinity. Well, that's love, right? With all of its pieces and parts, truth and joy and laughter and all of these different things. where we're that with our partner, with our kids, with our coworkers, with our grumpy neighbor, with somebody that hates us, despises us, but where we continue to be that expression, which I think is the invitation. Notice how good it feels. Notice, or you pass a homeless person, and you say, I'm going to give more than $1 or $5. I'm going to go. Notice how good it feels, because things that feel good, why in the world would we not just do more and more? That's what we're stretching into, is doing more and more and more of that, because we realize that's what we're made. That's what divinity means. It feels really good. That's how we're made, to be in service like that to the world around us.
Wow. If that doesn't put it into a few words, I don't know what does. That's exactly right. And Louise is sitting there going, he's exactly right. I can see it. I can see on her face that she totally gets it and totally agrees, and has made a new level commitment to model the message. Wow. That's what we're talking about here. Or to put it in a single sentence, do unto others as you would have it done unto you, which is something that some guy who walked around the planet around 2,000 years ago, oh, wait a minute, I think we're going to be celebrating his birthday pretty soon. Yeah. And that's what he was telling us a couple of thousand years ago.
That's right. That's right.
That's all it would take. That's all it would take. So guys, here's what I want you to do. I want you to commit to being a model of the message. And then I want you to decide to share with everyone whose life you touch the information about the campaign that's being undertaken globally, that there is such an organization called Humanity's Team. It actually does exist, with hundreds of messengers, hundreds of members in nations all over the world. We could start what I call the address book movement. I dare you. Here's something I dare you to do before the end of the week. See if you have the courage and the determination and the commitment to do this. Write up a couple of paragraphs about the work that Humanity's Team is doing, or maybe even take a few words right off of our webpage so that people can know what we're up to, and send it to everybody in your address book. Dare you, double dare you. I know it's going to require a lot of courage, because some people are saying, why are you sending me this? Or don't tell me you're caught up in this, or, whatever it might be. You may not get a positive reaction from everyone, but you may get a very positive reaction from many people. So here's my challenge. Join what I have come to call the address book movement. Move this message to everybody in your address book. If all of you just listening to me today did that, and if they in turn did that to everybody in their address book, and they in turn to everybody in their address book, do you know how many people we would reach with this message in 24 hours? Something we couldn't have done 20 years ago. But because we have the ability to do that kind of a thing today, I'm inviting us to do it. Yes, do not just support Humanity's Team, become a member of the movement. Move the message into the world in a dramatic, powerful, and instantaneous way. Before the end of the week, send information about this to everybody in your address book. I dare you.
That's a beautiful invitation, Neale. Yeah, thank you. And by the way, your friends and coworkers and family members will be glad that you did, because I know a lot of you are just sitting here nodding your head because you felt into this yourself. This is what the conscious journey is. These things that Neale and I are talking about, you felt all these things, and that's why you're watching, and you're wanting to deepen in. We all are in today's world. Again, coming out of the COP28 Dubai, where it's like we can see at this level of consciousness, we're not getting there, right? We're not getting there. But there's really good news. The migration to conscious living is well underway. The whales are heading south, the geese are flying south. Well, humanity is uniting. It's coming together. It's migrating to conscious living. The press isn't really covering this right now. But this great migration to conscious living, which is what the uniting of humanity, what Humanity's Team is about, this is well underway. And all of you are feeling at home as you're watching this program, I know, and that's why you're watching. And we're saying, yes, there is a path. We can create a sustainable and flourishing world. So our kids, as we look around, babies and kids and teenagers and people in their 20s and 30s, future generations being born into the world. There's hope. There's possibility. In fact, this last Conversations with God book, Awaken the Species, book 4, Conversations with God, it says, the hardest part of the journey is behind us, it says. So keep on keeping on. You're doing well. That's not being reported by the press. But on some level, we can all feel that, can't we? So I'm going to bring in a comment, and then I'm sure to be getting to questions. So this is just a comment from Debbie, who's in the green room with us. And she says, great programs, kudos and gratitude to all for saving hearts and spreading love and hope. Thank God. Okay, Debbie, thank you. We appreciate that. Let me share as well, tomorrow at the same time, 9 a.m. Pacific, we've got our big annual meeting. It's our Changing Humanity's Future Global Gathering. So Neale and I are hosting. Neale and I will begin that program. And then Suzanne Giesman, Deborah Poneman, Simran, Ross Hostetter, Jacqueline Way, Dr. Roshanak, and some others are going to be part of the program. It's a live program, 90 minutes tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific. I think we put there we are. Yeah, we've got a little link in the window. Invite you to click on that link and join Neale and me and these others tomorrow. Now, this is the initiative, Changing Humanity's Future, that Neale and I created a year and a half ago, where we were blending conversations with God with what's going on out in the world. And we said, boy, if ever it was our moment to live the conversations with God teachings, it's got to be now. It's got to be now. Where we unite humanity, this wisdom that Neale and I are talking about, where we really embody the wisdom, we express it, and we're out in the world as lighthouses, so to speak, where this just spreads. It doesn't spread by our vocal cords. I know you're hearing it, but it's spreading by just the energetics of this, where you can feel the truth in what Neale is sharing here, what I'm bringing in. It's resonating. It's just, in fact, it often is a pounding kind of resonance, where it's like, wow, yes, that's right. These are things that make sense. This is where we're going. So join us tomorrow for the Changing Humanity's Future program, 9 a.m. Pacific. So that's one of the big invitations here. I want to invite you to something else. Neale and I, as part of the Changing Humanity's Future initiative, in fact, starting late last year, we started talking about what new masterclass could we create that supports the initiative, that just kind of brings it all together. All this wisdom that is what we call conscious living, with the real treasure, of conversations with God in it. Well, let's create a masterclass where we bring all that together for people. 16 modules with mentoring, all of the things that we create in masterclasses, and do something that we've never done before in 20 years, never done before, where we said these teachings are so important at this moment in history that we'll let people name their own price for this masterclass. And if they don't have a nickel and they want to go through the masterclass, then good. You go through the masterclass for free if you don't have any budget. Because this really is our moment. I think we all know, 5 years from now, we say, good, let's start uniting humanity now. No, we don't wait 5 years. Our moment is now. We're in the moment now. And so, boy, Neale and I and Humanity's team, Conversations with God Foundation, we are in this thing, which is why you see us. Neale in the green room was saying, boy, every other day it seems like I'm on a Humanities team program. Thank you, Neale. And he's got a new book that came out called The God Solution. Or God Talk, I'm sorry. The newest one is God Talk. But we're in. We get up in the morning, and this is our thing. We're in it right now. We're in that moment right now where we're going to stretch into it. We're going to embody these teachings. We're going to, just what Neale and I have been talking about here. So I invite you to go to the Humanities Team website, humanitiesteam.org with a Y, and go up to the top where it has programs in the top left, pull down Masterclasses, and you'll see the art and science of conscious living. Okay, go to that page and read about that masterclass and go through, even if you don't have any budget at all. We'd like all 8 billion people on the planet to go through that masterclass. It's extraordinary, really. I'm actually going through it again here myself. I'm watching, just finishing watching Neale's modules, and I'm going to go watch my modules again. So it's extraordinary. I invite you to do that as well. So that's one of our invitations here. So I'm going to go to a question here on Facebook. It says, are there any programs out there for our young generation to learn about consciousness and energy? Okay, that's from Dawn. So that's one, but that program I just covered. But let me bring in another one, young generation. So there's a program that you'll see Humanities Team now promoting beginning in just a couple of weeks. It's with a woman called Ting Ting. You can Google her. She is incredible. She's got an embodied consciousness program. It's kind of a Qigong-like in yoga, but she created it. It's her own movement type teaching, and she's young, attractive, very charismatic. So there you go, Don. Take a look at the Ting Ting program, and what's the term that you use where you're kind of inviting people to look into the future a little bit. Watch and see what comes out of our pipeline in education as we go into 2024. You will be surprised. There are going to be some young, charismatic, embodied teaching kinds of programs that help kids to take those mobile devices, their remote phones, and put them down so they can get connected with this world around us. And it's one of the sad things we see right out in restaurants and all over the world. Everybody's just kind of looking at their phone. So we're creating programs to put that phone down so we can get connected with God, life around us, the planet. I'm going to stop here, Neale, so you can come in. I'm sure there are lots of things that are going through your mind here.
Well, I love it when you said put that phone down, but it's amazing how attached many people have come to their handheld electronic devices. We've almost lost touch with each other on a personal level. So one of the things that I invite people to do as well is to become teachers themselves. There's no reason why you can't hold once a week or maybe twice a month on Tuesday evenings. Frankly, that's how I started my journey. So what would life be like if Jacqueline decided, or Jeannie, or maybe even Gail? Let's pretend that Gail decided that once a week, or maybe twice a month, every other Tuesday night, from 7:30 to 9 o'clock at night, she was going to hold a spiritual support group in creating a class called Humanities Team, Its Message and Your Place. Supposing that she decided to do that, supposing just every Tuesday night, she would sit down with just a handful of people, 4, 5, 6 people who would come to her house, or maybe she'd, rent a room for $25 or $15 a night at a local church, and people could put some dollar bills in the basket to pay for the room. And then she sat there for that hour and a half and shared with people the messages that have really motivated all of us in the conversations with God community and in the Humanities Team. She shared with people those messages. Oh, and by the way, if you're not really clear what the messages are, do pick up Book 4, Conversations with God, Book 4, which says this is a perfect time for the advancement of our species. This is the perfect time. It looks like it's the worst time in some ways, but it actually is the perfect time because it looks like it's the worst time. We are a species of not fully developed, members of our species, not fully developed individuals. And because we are at that at modest level of our evolution, many people need things to get worse before it can get better. Well, it can't get much worse than it is now. So this is a perfect time for our advancement. But what we need are people who are willing to put the message into the world. What would happen if you decided just twice a month, every other Tuesday night, from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock, or 7:30 until 9, you simply gave a little group, Humanities Team Spiritual Support Group, and shared with them the messages that underlie our movement. By the way, how many of the Conversations with God books have you read? I don't know whether you know, there are 9 dialogue books, 9 books in the dialogue series. I do hope that you've read them all, because once you understand the breadth and the scope of these messages that have been given to all of us, it could really change the lives of everyone whose life you touch. So dare you, double dare you. Beginning in January, or maybe wait till February after the holidays are behind us, start your Tuesday night Humanities Team Spiritual Support Group, 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock every Tuesday night. Find a little room where you can gather some people and become an actual teacher of these messages. If you're looking for a way to participate, see, this is what people say, what can I do? If I hear one thing, Steve, if I hear one thing more than anything else at gatherings that I attend, when I give a little talk, give a little speech somewhere, people are coming up to me saying, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Here are 2 things you can do. Join the address book movement, number 1. Number 2, become an in-the-moment teacher of the messages that motivate all of us at Humanities Team. Dare you, double dare you.
And this, we have 65 country coordinators right now out in the world. They're all volunteer country coordinators, and they're all, this is kind of where they started, doing this, exactly what Neale describes, with the book clubs, with these conversation groups, where they're as coming together as kindred spirits to talk about spirituality and how we can live it in our lives, including in our workplace and stuff. It's very rewarding. Let me bring something in, because so often people still even will say, they'll come up after where they want to do it one-on-one. They don't want to ask the public question, but the one-on-one question after is, well, I just, I'm kind of been dabbling in this, Steve, and it does feel good, and I really like these messages. I'm just not sure that I can stretch into it and things. I'm not sure what would happen to me and as a professional and my family and so on. Let me bring this in, because it's kind of the game-changing thing for me as I was, coming into these understandings that we're talking about, where so almost all of us grew up with this understanding, we're our parents' son, right? Linda and Joe, and that we're a body. Steve Farrell is a body. I'm this body. And it's going to go to dust here, at the end of its life. So in that understanding, it might even be appropriate to just go and do the old American dream thing, climb to those upper rungs of the ladder, fame and fortune and power over and all these things. And boy, I'm going to go make my fortune, and then I'm going to bring it all back to my castle, me and my wife and my kids and things. But then as we go through this awakening thing, we understand, deeply, these things Neale and I are talking about of, my parents were an airport terminal delivering me from source. And I like God and the divine even better than source myself, the Most High, the creator of the whole universe. That's where I came from. My parents were just airport terminals delivering me. And so that everlasting consciousness, all of what we say about God, everlasting life, unlimited potential, pure love, all these things. Well, but I'm a part of her. So, I came from there, which means I'm that, right? Including the everlasting life. So, as Neale and Conversations with God will share over and over again, we have a body. We aren't a body. We have a body. So as we really deeply understand that, and that's where we're going back to, right? We're going back to that realm when this life is over, to pure love, and then we'll embody again and so on. But what I got from that is this whole upper ladder of the American dream thing, fame and fortune and power over minting money, the billionaire class, where we're just going to mint money, right, and try and get attention and things. It's a kid's game, right? I mean, this is really a kid's game. Why would we do that? Where we really understand these things that Neale and I are talking about, and which is why he's bringing around the invitation to create a Tuesday program and so on, where we really deeply understand that we have everlasting life, and that this is a really precious one here now in this moment of the great pivot, the great shift of the ages happening on the earth, where we can play a role. and where we can really, what as they say in Conversations with God, announce and declare, express and fulfill, experience and become the grandest version of the greatest vision that we've ever had about ourselves. I mean, see, we're standing on very different ground here from these understandings we all grew up with, most of us, and these new understandings. And where we live into these new understandings, we're not worried about stretching into, and even running into the kinds of messages that we're talking about, because we deeply understand that's actually why we're here. And where we hold back, where we resist and say, well, I'm afraid, I don't know where that'll take me. I'm not sure what'll happen to me and my family and so on. We're actually pushing away the wonderful opportunity of life. So this is kind of, as I've been on this journey, these are the things that have come to me. So please don't resist and say, yeah, this all sounds good, but I don't know that I can go do that. Because I'm saying please don't, not for me, I'm saying that for you, because I think where you are pushing back and resisting for these reasons that I share, it hurts you and your family and your workplace. And really the incredible gratitude and joy and laughter and things that you can have in life where you let yourself really go into this and live into the fullest you expression. Okay, so
if you want to take a look at, a lot of people say to me, I love the idea of doing, for instance, a once a week class or doing the address book movement, but I'm not really sure, as Steve was just mentioning, I'm not really sure that I can really deliver this message, with articulation. I want to share with you the title of a book that I wrote, especially for those people. It's called The God Solution. The God Solution. If you haven't read that book, I'll send it to you for free. I'm not kidding. If you want the book, I won't send you a physical copy because I don't have that many around here, but I'll upload it to your computer because I want you to read that book. It's a virtual how-to manual. That is, it talks about the way we can redefine our understanding of who and what God is, who and what we are. And this last 4 chapters of that book move into a description of the method, the mechanics of metaphysics and how to create your own reality. Once you finish reading that book, you can go right into your study group on Tuesday night. You can almost read right out of the book or just absorb it. Assuming you agree with it, of course, and I suspect that you will. I think you'll pick up that material and go, there it is. It's right there in front of me. So if you want a copy for me to send it to your computer, send a note to me, Neale at neildonaldwalsh.com. Say, Neale, please send me the book, and I'll send it right back to you. No charge, totally free. I just want you to read it so that you can feel that I have all the information I need to do what these guys are suggesting.
Okay, there's an invitation. I'm going to give you another goodie here. It's Christmas season, right? So here's another goodie is, as you know, Humanities Team was guided into this whole education area. And we have this true streaming platform where you can stream to every device and even Roku and Apple phone. I usually use my Apple phone, by the way, because it's so convenient on my couch and on my bed. I can watch these programs. Humanity Stream Plus, is our streaming platform. And we're a 501c3 nonprofit. So we've got it's really a cost-effective, very economical, and we have a one-for-one. So when you subscribe, we give a free subscription to an underserved, underprivileged individual. Now, during the holidays, you give 2 free subscriptions, and you get to choose one. So we have now through Christmas a buy one, get one free offer on Humanity Stream Plus. So Neale now has 120 programs on the streaming platform called Humanity Stream Plus. If you go to humanitystream.net and just scroll down, you'll see all of these programs. Neale has 120 programs. I checked this morning on Humanity Stream. So go to this buy one, get one free URL or web address, and then you can register if you're not already registered, and you can give one away for free to a coworker, a loved one, a friend, or if you're already registered, you can go and buy 2 and give them to 2 friends or 2 colleagues. So go check that out. here where there's so many mindless gifts and all of these crazy things that end up in the trash, and we don't need more waste in today's world. We need to steward our planet better. Here's a gift that, oh my God, now when I'm on a plane or I've got 30 minutes on a Sunday sitting around, I just pull out my Apple phone and I start watching these video trainings. And oh my God, you are going to love this compared to mindless kind of stuff that maybe you would have pulled up or a television show here. So, okay, let me get to a few more questions now that have come in. So this is from Babin, also in the green room. So she's a Stream Plus member. She says, is it not our own inability to love perfectly or to live this message completely that keeps us small? Neale, I'm going to direct this to you. Perhaps it inhibits our speaking out. So I can read that question again if you want.
No, I got the question. It is not our inability. We all have the ability. So I wouldn't agree with the assessment that it might be our inability to send this message or to live into this message. It's our lack of total commitment. What I've come to be aware of is the fact that people who are totally committed to live into this message find themselves able to do so. That is, they find, I was always able to do so. I'm not hampered by some inherent inability. I have the ability to live into this. And all of us have experienced that ability from time to time. It's just a question of choosing to experience it much more of the time, and then ultimately all of the time. Steve was mentioning just a couple of minutes ago how good we feel when we are our highest self, whether it's making a major donation to a homeless person on the street or making the perfect comment to someone who's having a disagreement with us, or healing an issue that has arisen in our immediate environment, whatever it might be. All of us have experienced that feeling of, wow, that feels so good, that's who I really am. We feel good about ourselves. You know what's interesting about the human race? We've been told, I don't know, I shouldn't say we, but many of us at least have been told that it's not okay to feel good about yourself. We're not supposed to feel good about ourselves. I mean, we're supposed to be seen and not heard. We're not supposed to be worrying about, people have told us it's our ego. It's not about ego. It's not about ego at all. It's about acceptance of our true identity as individuations of divinity. So I want to share with you, it's okay to feel good about yourself. And if you like the feeling that arises within you when you've said just the right healing words or done just the right thing to heal the moment, if you like that feeling within you, simply decide to do it, to be it, to express it more often in grander and grander ways, to become, as Steve just said, the next grandest version of the greatest vision you ever held about who you are. What would happen to those whose lives you touch? You know what? That's the most important message I received in conversations with God. I've been asked by people in the media and all the time, Neale, of all the messages you received in conversations with God in 3,000 pages of dialogue, what's the single most important message? Here it is. Share this with everyone whose life you touch. Here's the single most important message of conversations with God. We are all one. Your life is not about you. Your life is about everyone whose life you touch and the way in which you touch it. And when you understand that, you will understand what it feels like to live into the awareness that we are all one. Because in the end, there's only one of us in the room. It turns out that what I do for you, I'm doing for me. And what I fail to do for you, I'm failing to do for me. It's as simple as that.
And here's the thing: is when we're not on the conscious journey and we're in this lower vibration state, what Neale shared could sound very pie in the sky, where we are on the conscious journey. We've done this awareness thing, we've conscious education, embody and express and engage, where we're really on the journey in a mature way, what Neale just shared becomes the most important thing. It's the most important thing. And it's what mystics down through the ages have shared. And then they came and they lived this out. They were the change that they were inviting people to see. Because it turns out when we look at this whole turnstile of life, this whole knowing, doing, and then pure being, this turnstile of life, that's what it's about. That is what it's about. And that's why it's the most important thing. It's the furthest thing from pie in the sky. And on some level, we all know that. And we know, post-COVID and with this COP28, Dubai behind us and so on, the world is pregnant, I'll call it, for this kind of wisdom. And that's why people are watching now, because on some level, we know this. And we're realizing, I got to get on. I got to go live this as fully as I can. Okay, I'm going to bring some more things in here. Eknagog, Galag, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, and I apologize. It says, thank you for all the awakening humanity throughout the world. So thank you for that comment. And then Bev says, I'm reading CWG Book 4, Awaken the Species, for the third time. After my first reading of the book, it spoke to me and the issues we face, and I then decided to read it every year for the hope. I highly recommend it. So, okay, Bev, I've read it. I've read it a lot as well. It's still on my bedstand. Okay, so here's a question here, a big one, Neale. Mark brings this in from the viewing room. Says, what are the top 3 ways we each can help fulfill this vision?
Well, I already gave you 2 of them. The top way is to live into the vision, be a model of it. Decide that with every thought that you entertain, and I'm not talking about, ideas that just flip through your mind, but I mean thoughts that you really stick with and entertain at a deep level. With every thought that you really entertain at a deep level, with every word that you speak, importantly, and with every action that you take, decide to, in fact, be a demonstration of the message that we're talking about, that we are all one, that what I do for you, I do for me, and what I fail to do for you, I fail to do for me, and that there's only one of us. Here's the most important message the most important thing. You wanted 3 things, I already gave you 2, the address book movement, and start your own Tuesday night spiritual support group. But the third thing is to live into a message that most people kind of like are reluctant to step into. I am an individuation of divinity, and so are you. You are an individuation of divinity. And people say to me when I say that at a public lecture, people say, oh, Neale, are you trying to say that you're God? And I say, well, I'm an individuation of God. Yes, I will go that far. Absolutely say that. And my relationship to God is the same as a relationship of a wave to the ocean. A wave is not separate from the ocean. It's not something other than the ocean. It's simply an individual arising of the ocean in beautiful and spectacular, powerful form. And when that individual expression is complete, the wave recedes back into the ocean whence it came. That's exactly, as a metaphor, our relationship to the divine. So that's the most powerful aspect of this message, and the most powerful action you could take is to declare to yourself, and then if you have the willingness to even declare it publicly, we are all individuations of the divine. Let's treat each other that way, and the world will change overnight.
Let me add to this. Amen. Amen and amen. Neale. And so, of course, we're all on the conscious journey, so we all have a daily practice, right? So our daily practice, so incredibly important because it anchors us throughout our day so that we can, these things that we're talking about, so we can live in these things throughout our day. That's what a daily practice does, where early in the day and throughout our day, where we just spend a little of that quality time where we're going to that place of communing with that God of our understanding that's right here within. I grew up in the Catholic Church, altar boy, and it was always a prayer up and to the clouds, where she lives there too. But even better, there's no separation. So just keeping her right here where she is always, actually, but me recognizing that and recognizing what the James Webb Telescope says. 2 billion times 3 trillion stars. We want to know, put numbers to God? There's a number. 2 billion times 3 trillion stars. Okay? That's the power plant right here. And we're connecting with that in our daily practice. And we go to, right, intention setting is so huge. It's part of our, probably everybody's daily practice, where we're seeing ourselves in this and the world around us. So these kids have a beautiful planet that they're going to grow up on too. We reverse this whole global warming thing. We start stewarding the planet well. We elevate consciousness. We start living as who we really are, as spiritual beings inhabiting a body, right? So this is such an important part of this too. And I'm assuming everybody here has a daily practice. So, and where we're setting intentions, including seeing this planet heal, because we're 2 or more gathered, right? Very powerful. I also want to bring in, I'm reading David Hawkins' book, Power versus Force, a seminal book in our space. And one of the things I love about what he does, and of course this man has transitioned, he's no longer alive, but wow, what a book. Because where we talk about making conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040, some people will say, well, Steve, even with that streaming platform, when you're getting that price down and it's available in houses all over the planet, I don't see it. I don't see by 2040 this conscious living thing is made pervasive. You got to convince me that there's some real possibility here. Okay, read the David Hawkins Power versus Force book, right? So what it says is power, which is this divine divinity, right, that we're living into, this oneness, this daily practice where we're living into it, where we become awake, where we even become awake, and I'll get to enlighten. We offset 1 million people, he did all the research, read the book yourself, 1 million people in this lower vibration, not awake state. 1 million people, we're all awake, right? 1 million people. Then you get to his framework goes from 1, where we're dead, to 1,000, highest level of enlightenment. From 700 to 1,000, if we're in that range, as many are even on the planet today, we're offsetting 70 million people. One person, 70 million people. So now all of a sudden we can see how this works, can't we? Where, this energy, where we're setting our vibration high as awake, and even up into enlightenment where we're healers, we can see how the planet really gets there, right? Because spiritual means energy. Energy means set vibration. Set vibration means we're setting it, of course, we're setting it high. That's the whole point with our daily practice and things. So sit with that. Read the book if you want to really understand the science of this research, because it explains how we make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. You can see how we don't have to have the whole world on board before this pot comes to boil, right? This pot comes to boil. So I know we've gone over a little bit. Neale, do you have any final words you want to share with everybody?
Yes, don't go over the time you've allocated. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Okay, well, hey, I want to thank you, Neale Donald Walsch. He's here with us today. Tomorrow, actually, his message is recorded. He had a conflict, but it's a message you don't want to miss, created just for tomorrow's program. Join us tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific. I also want to just thank Jim Gray, Garth Catterall, Abby Johnson, Dee Meyer, Andy Guski, Karen Watson. So I have a lot of partners and colleagues, people in Humanities team, just as passionate as Neale and I, all over the world, that are in that are they're just running into this every morning, every day. So thank you guys for helping to make this possible. And hey, we're in the holiday season, so what better time to this whole announce and declare, express and fulfill thing? Let's go do it. Let's be a lighthouse out into the world and show people what this David Hawkins thing looks like. We're high vibrations out in the world, and whoa, there's change all over the place. Let's do it. Okay, happy holidays, everybody. See you tomorrow. Love and peace and blessings.